So guys, we're back here with Corella Construction and we've got Craig and Ella. So we're going to talk a little bit about women in construction and in the industry and the benefits of how having a female in your business can definitely help, not only with site and in the office, but with clients and dealing with difficult situations. So Ella, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got, I guess, thrown in the deep end and ended up working in the family business?
Oh, certainly. I'm actually originally from Adelaide, so from Adelaide I moved up to Brisbane with work. My background is I'm an accountant. I'm a chartered accountant, and I spent my years at uni and doing my professional studies and worked for a big corporate business.
Yep.
And then on the side I actually did my own renovations, starting from when I was 19. I bought my first little dodgy 70s cream brick apartment.
So you taught Craig.
Well, I actually had my own little toolkit when we met, which was really funny, though he said it wasn't quite as good as his whiz bang stuff. But I had my own set, and I certainly could do things for myself, but put my own kitchen together and things like that, which was good fun. And I came to Brisbane, and sadly it's one of those girl meets boy scenarios and falls in love and all of that, and that sort of kept me in Brisbane. And as from there we sort of were talking one day and said, let's do this and let's start a building company, and we're both really super passionate about it. And then Corella Construction came into being.
Yeah, awesome. So look, I'm a huge fan of women in the industry. I think it's fantastic for everyone involved. I know having some females in my office, it definitely helps me out, especially with responding to certain emails. So, like, what's your passion for the industry, and how does Corella Constructions benefit from having you on board?
My passion for the industry, I think, is just in the amazing creativity and building and taking something from literally nothing to creating the things that we do, and creating homes and spaces and areas that people love. And when you hand over those homes and people move in and then you see them in those spaces, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
So that's why we're just so passionate about it and love all different forms of projects. And I guess we've been really fortunate to continue down that road of custom homes and creating those unique spaces. I guess my background being from a more professional studies side of things, I've been through days and days of courses of how to write the perfect email and things like that. So for me, we've found we were a good combination, because I brought a lot of the finance skills from my study, but also the written and communication skills that came from both my work life and study. And I think that women also bring a level of empathy and understanding.
Yeah, definitely.
And quite often you're dealing with clients who are very passionate. They've been working on their homes, even in their mind, for sometimes years before they've even engaged an architect or a builder to come on board that journey. And they need someone to come and understand and be a part of that journey as well. And sometimes, things don't look as they thought, or don't come up the way they thought, as because a lot of this stuff you're taking from a bunch of different samples and products to pull together. And I think sometimes women can bring that level of understanding in that situation to interpret those conversations, to go, hey, I understand what you're saying, and let's have a conversation about this, or let's relook at it that way. And I think that's what can really help that communication and bring the relationship forward. And I'd say one of the biggest parts, if not the biggest part of any build, is the relationship between the builder and the client. So anything that contributes to that situation, I think is very important.
Yeah, look, communication's huge, isn't it? Like it plays a massive part in every project, right from the very initial meeting all the way through to handover. And look, women definitely handle things a different way, but like for builders and I guess subbies and contractors out there that might be still on the tools or trying to grow their business, like myself, I've always tried to listen. Like if I don't know something, I've asked questions, or I've hired someone or paid someone that does. I think a lot of businesses fall over and they try to do everything themselves. Do you guys think it's important for, I guess, other builders to bring people into their business to help them with the office side of it?
Oh, I think think it's important in all aspects to be open to networking and engagement on a variety of fronts. I know we spoke about it earlier about, what is a builder and, what does that mean? And a builder is, the construction component, the on-site, the off-site, the contracts, the quoting, the now marketing, the accounting. And if you think that you can wear every single one of those hats, I think that in a way you sort of set yourself up for failure because, and for a lot of stress on your own part, because that's a lot for one individual to be teaching yourself as well. And I think if you can establish a network or bring resources in that can help with those parts, I think it only develops your own understanding and raises your own bar up to the next level. Whereas otherwise you're trapped within your own benchmarks and your own knowledge. So
you can't grow. Like you're stuck in this box and you're not, I guess, taking other people's opinions and thoughts on so you can continue to grow.
You have to expand. You have to.
So these days, like sustainability and energy efficiency seems to be massive, and like a lot of the stuff we're doing, people think you throw a solar panel on a roof or an energy efficient hot water system and you've ticked all the boxes. But how do you guys deal with energy efficiency and sustainability? Do you guys get involved with that and help clients out?
Well, I look at our life cycle of our business and the 7 years that we've been in operation, and I look back to that first year, and I remember, we get quotes through, and people be asking, I might want to do solar one day, and then fast forward to 18 months after that, and then it was, can we get the pre-wiring for solar, and then you fast forward again, and then it was, we want to get the solar system in now, and then people were sort of saying, and we want to pre-wire for battery backup, and now we're always solar on, always pre-wire for batteries, and now they're asking for batteries. And so that's just one area, I guess, of sustainability where we're seeing the pull from the clients as well. And that's just one component. I know you talked about, there's many components around glazing and all sorts of things that come into that, and we do. I think it's more and more being pulled by the client. I think for us, certainly if you go back 5 years, we would talk about it and clients like the idea of it, but then you'd talk about maybe some costs around it and it would be the first thing that would get cut out. But now I think some of the value around it is starting to come through of what is the value and how can I make that work around efficiency in the house and heating and cooling and power and all of that. And so now people are actually wanting to make that investment, whereas it's funny, the small life cycle of our business, and I see how it's changed in such a short period of time.
And I think a lot of it comes back to costs. And again, it can tie back to the collaboration. Like if we've definitely found it can get expensive because a lot of the time people will start to talk about it after you've started the build.
That happens all the time, doesn't it?
So if you get that team, you collaborate, you know what the client's maybe thinking early on, then that can be worked into a budget. But like guys, look, changing things and bringing things like solar panel and batteries up after a build has started, like it can sometimes be twice as expensive as if it had been built in from when the job was initially started. So do you think that's something that people need to consider more often, is getting all those things out on the table early?
Absolutely. Having an idea of what you want too. It's not just the solar, it's the insulation and all sorts of different things that you can put in the house to make it more efficient.
And I think in some ways it's an education process. So I still think there's a lack of information out there on what is available, because in many ways, everybody talks about it in concept, but in detail around what all those things are. And we sort of see everybody spends all their energy on designing their home and all that, and then they get on site and go, okay, awesome, we've got the house designed, everything. And then they go, I read this thing on the weekend and I want to talk about X, but it never came up in that process because, you're so busy on how many bathrooms and how, do we need to make that child's room bigger or smaller or whatever. And it's always, you could go to start on site and I can't tell you how many clients we're first week on site and they're like, so we've been talking about solar or we've been talking about, and you go, how have we not talked about this so far?
Yeah.
Or, you know, that got ruled out or something. So I definitely think there's more education and information that would be great to integrate it through that design and process at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. And then even like little things like you just mentioned, like that affects the whole build. Like,
Yeah.
so, guys, you've got to understand if you're thinking of building or renovating and you're making these decisions after the project started, like these guys have done a schedule, the job's programmed, everything's booked in. A simple little conversation like that, righto, let's now talk about the solar after the job started can just completely throw the plan of the whole job out.
Especially if you have sheeted walls, you've cladded everything up. You know, how are you supposed to run all the wiring? You have to run it externally. It's, you know, it doesn't look ugly.
Yeah.
I think one of the other classics and one of the projects we're working on at the moment is where we're talking about adding solar now, and the roof design. We've got the wrong facing roof at the wrong pitch, and if we'd tweaked that a little bit, we could have got a better result for the system in the way that we're now going to have to mount brackets to get the system facing different ways. And I guess that's an area where a lot of people don't realise that it really can impact your design if you can get your roof right with the right way and the right pitches, because otherwise you can get a beautiful design and then to put your solar panels on, you've got to have big brackets in order
So
to get it.
aesthetically, you've ruined it as well. Like you've gone to all this effort to design it, but because it's been an afterthought, you've ruined that roof design.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, guys, fantastic information today. I think young builders, tradies, and homeowners would have got a lot out of it. So thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ron.
And keep smashing out the good projects.
Thanks,
Thank
buddy.
you.